Hello there survivors, and welcome back to another build guide for how to build a blacksmith using the Castle Keeps and Forts mod in ARK Survival Ascended. As you can see, it's quite a nice cozy little build, and it makes a great addition to your own little village or town, or of course if you're just looking for a nice house to live in using this amazing build mod. As always, if you enjoy seeing these videos, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and feel free to leave suggestions for future builds in this village or other builds in the comments down below. Alright, let's get started. So the whole foundation is 7 by 4 and 2 blocks in the corners are stairs instead. And then we'll get started on the main building here with some pillars lining things out. I think we're gonna do these two so that we have a little of the workspace right next to it and like the main building in this corner. So that's gonna be pillars here and a pillar right over here in this corner as well. Yeah, so basically that's going to be the main building. There's going to be a side building and of course a little workplace in the front. Well, for me, I need to go down with these pillars a lot because of my existing village, but of course this is probably only for me. It depends on where you're building this. And I think we'll make these pillars too high because I feel like that's a decent height for the most buildings here in the village. And then this workplace is probably going to have a little roof above it, but it's not going to be the entire length because we want to kind of have it differently. So maybe every two we do some pillars and we connect those to the ground. I feel like that's a nice little bit just to have a roof over your head whilst you're at work. I think that will be nice. And then we'll just add for roofs above it. There we go, the settler roofs is what we want for these, and then these shallow ones are going to be perfect for just a little bit of cover to work underneath, right? And just until we meet up with the main building, I think that's fine. That's plenty of space, hopefully, to work with here for blacksmith and to have like forges out here. Maybe some anvils. I don't know what we can find in the different deco things we have, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. And then the main building probably needs to be at least like half a pillar higher so that it sticks out from where we have this little overcapped side addition. Then we'll add some lovely arches in here. I think that's always a good look, and we'll randomize them. I really like randomizing these with the villager and the settler tiers, just so that some of them look brand new and some of them look like a little bit weathered and a little bit older, which I personally really like the look of. So yeah, I think that kind of makes this work area complete. Well, yeah, I don't think we need much more. Well, maybe some railings and stuff. But let's focus on where the actual entrance to the build will be and how we will kind of transition from this workspace into the build. So let's see, for the walls, I feel like a window would be nice. Yeah, I think a window would be nice here, maybe. We'll see. You know, we'll go with the flow. That's what we do. That's what we do. But I feel like a small window. Although these ones are always a little bit... I feel like they're a little bit churchy, but I do feel that the bottom layer of the blacksmith at least probably should be stone, you know, flame proof. There are some gaps here. They're not all aligned, it seems. We need to make sure they're all aligned the same way so that we do not have any weird gaps between our walls. That's a little bit awkward. So I guess we'll fill in the bottom here. We also have gaps here. Oh my god, I really messed up with placing all of these. There we go. We should be able to have a window now. Now it's slightly higher. I think we'll go for this one. This is probably the best option out of the ones we got. It's not too churchy yet. I think we'll get away with that. We have to replace this one too. Yeah, that's not too bad, right? And then we can just kind of fill in these remaining ones like this, and then we have a full wall above the door, and if it will let me actually, there we go. And that is the first layer. I do think we want to have some beams in there, probably just around the door, just to break that up a little bit. And then we'll probably continue those all the way. Yep, that's where it should be. There we go. That's already looking quite good, I think. So yeah, we have I think we'll probably keep that door open as well, so you can go in and out, inside workshop, outside workshop, something like that. I think will probably work. And then we want a pillar in the middle of these foundations, because this is going to be like the little side building, little side entrance into this build, into this house. I think that's going to be nice, just to kind of give it layers, give it a little bit more interest. Always like doing that. And we'll probably also have the beams going around the edge here, because especially for me, because of the big foundation below it, I think that really helps too. So yeah, I think that's a nice little start. And then we can make something nice out of this. We'll probably have these walls here, because obviously we need to transition this addition into the main building, so we'll copy those pillars there. And then we should be able to get like a nice entranceway into that workshop again. And we can just kind of fill in the entire walls without too much issue. I guess we'll have to continue these all the way up. That's kind of the only way to do this. And then this one up top. And then here we also need this layer on top, of course, because we need to make sure that we have this entire wall finished. And then we have two walls kind of done. You know, we go by a wall basis usually. We take it wall by wall. Yeah, we have two of the walls done. Not all detailed yet, maybe, but I mean, pretty much, I guess, with the workplace and the addition that's going to be. We'll make a little addition on this side too. Just like a little, like it's been built onto it, basically. Like a little wooden box ledge to the side. I really like that for like medieval builds. Just have those little bit of wooden boxes sticking out from sides of builds. So we'll have some supports for these at the bottom. Just like this. There we go. And we'll have the beam going across the front too. We can have it go up. Probably not this high though, because it's a little bit too high. It's not that big of a build. You know, we don't want to go massive with this. And then we'll fill in the sides here with some nice settler wood. I really like all the textures in this. It's so good. It's so nice. We'll add on these gables, nice and steep. Yeah, I think that's going to be a nice little addition here to break up the big wall, which is basically what we want. And we'll have a little window and some roofs. And then there we go. Yeah, we'll have the roofs on top. I guess we'll have the little rakes and eaves everywhere. And then we have a nice looking addition, I think. There we go. Two to the side. And then we might as well do this one as well. I don't think I did that yet. So let's add these in. Kind of adds the overhangs everywhere, which is always nice. Maybe all the way through. There we go. That looks quite good. And then I guess this wall is pretty far done. We kind of just need to fill in these remaining gaps with some stone. Bring that up. And then across here too. Adding in this layer. There we go. Just like that. And then I think we do want to have some beams and structures and pillars here to kind of support this whole side. There we go. Can we get the right one, please? Yeah, almost. Yep, there we go. That's the one. Just build in that frame. And that's another wall completely done, I suppose. So yeah, I like that. I like how that's attached. I always like those little attachments to the builds, especially with having the stone layer and then having that attached to it with the wooden layer. Looks really nice. I do think we need to think about what I do for the back, especially for me, because the foundation is so high, but that is not really a problem for this video, I think. We'll probably have a walkway down there at some point. For here, we want to kind of have like a side entrance, basically, which is going gonna be not made out of stone, so we'll start with a little settler wood layer first. Kind of doing these patterns, which we like to do. I think we'll stick with these ones just because it's an uneven amount. It's a little bit easier to get away with. And then we'll have to have the door right there in the middle, of course, because that's all that there is left to do. There we go. What kind of door would we want? Do we want to use the arch? I do like the arch. But is that the good one to use? I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. Why not? Why not? I think that works, right? That's fine. All right, let's see. We probably want to have some windows in here also to bring in some extra light. Plus, I just always really like these windows. There we go. That looks quite nice. And then here on this side, I think we probably do want to have a window. You know, maybe it's all one in the middle. Could be nice. Again, enjoying the views of the river, letting in some light. There we go. We'll just fill in these sides. We'll do one of these sides we can do as well. I guess. And then the rest, I mean, it's already kind of out of proportion with the door, of course. So we kind of just want to... Oh, we need to have the right door in the right frame. I keep forgetting. So we'll have this door. And there we go. That will be an entrance. Do we need a door here? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. If it's a workplace, I don't think we need to. Exactly, right? I don't know. We'll figure it out. And then we'll have a little addition above the door too. Yeah, I think that works. And then, of course, the final layer, I guess, is just going to be a pattern like this. That's probably nice. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. There we go. And then, yeah, we can use these on this side as well. There we go. Nice and cute little addition. Little entrance to the build. I think that looks quite nice so far. And then, I mean, it's going to have a little bit of a roof. Shouldn't be too much of an issue. And still having room and space for the next layer of the main building. But yeah, we'll add these little ledges next to it, because we do want to make sure that it supports the roof, and it's a little bit wider than it is right now, because otherwise it would really be a tiny roof. And this way we can at least get a little bit of a shape into it, I think, which will look a little bit nicer, blend a little bit nicer with the rest of the village. So we'll have the supports, of course. And then should we start with... Can we start with this shallow? I don't think we can, because yeah, you only have the big variant of these. I wish there was also a smaller one of these. That would be really good, because you have it for all the other pieces, so that would be nice. But for now, we'll add in these normal ones, and then I guess we'll go into the steeper one. So there's still a slight curve to the whole roof, which is kind of the vibe that I've chosen for this village. And I mean, I call it a village. It might turn into a town, because it might get a little bit big, but that's fine. We'll fill in these sections as well. And then we'll have the steep parts here at the top. And then we'll need some windows. Do we have the windows? I don't think I have the right ones. We want the village windows, of course, right there. There we go. That's already looking quite nice, to be honest. Of course, we need to have the little overhangs, etc. But I think that already looks quite nice indeed. So we'll have these. We'll follow along with the rest of the shape. There we go. Yeah, that looks really cool. All right, along the side of the building, I guess we can just add in the layer of quarter ceilings to also make these supports happen. And then I guess it continues here. That's why we left the gap in the roof. We'll follow along all the way, and then we can follow along the entire back of the build here. And then this side, I think we'll use the tiny triangles to get that slight curve in it. I've done that in more builds here, but I really like the way that looks. It just adds a little bit, yeah, interest or a little bit of just the slightest curve and layers to a build. We'll add in all the supports around 2. Just getting all of them in. Of course, around the triangles, it's slightly different. So we want to get all these in here too. There we go. And then this is probably going to all have support beams across, or these little arches across the entire thing. Actually not there, but we want it here. Yeah, there we go. And then we'll switch it out with the other variation so that again we have the weathered and the new ones next to each other. I just really like this, so I'll keep doing it because why not? It's my town, guys. It's my town. But that's why I do it, at least. So we'll go along all these different ones. It feels like there's a lot of them in there. This one does not belong. There we go. And we'll have all these supports as well. There we go, all the way around. That looks quite good. And then what do we do next? What side do we go on? I guess we do want to have these little details that we did on the other builds on that one as well. Just kind of like the little flare at the end of the roof I really like. And it kind of brings all the builds together as well if we keep doing that same little thing on this side for the builds. And then we'll follow around with the beams around the entire layer here, if it will let me. I'm always fighting with these snap points. I mean, there is a lot of snap points, to be fair. There we go. Just a nice beam all the way around. There we go. And we can get some small ones. And just follow along. I guess we can do a big one on each side. Then a tiny one in the middle. And then we'll probably also make this layer too high. Well, nope, let's get it the right way. But yeah, too high feels reasonable because of the roof we already have on the side. So we will start over here, I think. Maybe of this side. Yeah, this side should be quite easy with the little roof addition. So we'll have the little settler wood at the bottom. Then we'll go into the village there. Get some nice patterns in here. Of course, we have the roof here that we want to kind of block out. So we'll have a big wall in the middle. Yeah, I like that pattern. And then we should be able to have the 2 little windows there, because it's not being blocked, so we might as well do that. That looks nice. And then I guess we want a layer of little quarter walls around the top of these. We'll do these above the window, and I think we'll just go with the empty one for the rest of that. And then for the top here, we can have kind of already start the shape of the roof, or yeah, I guess the shape of the roof. If it gets me the snap point, so we'll do another layer of the settler wood blended in. And there we go. We'll have these. We will have some small ones here. We will have some windows in the middle. And then we'll finish with the steep part. So we have the nice curve for the roof once more. Actually, those are not the right ones. We don't need the settler ones at the top as well. We just want the village. There we go. That should do it. And that gives us a nice shape for the build. And I think already this angle, it's looking quite nice with that little layered roof, basically. All right, what side should we do next? We could do this one. Have these ones go in there. I guess we have the big ones then, and then one normal one right in the middle. Should give it a nice look. For this side, I I kind of want to have something different to kind of break up the roof especially. So we'll start with the layer of these, of course. Should we just... Well, actually, we could make those beams come back down. So the pattern kind of continues. Nope. Not like that. Like that. And then the middle 3, I guess we could also have a little pattern going on. Why not? There we go. That looks quite nice, doesn't it? I think we want to do something special on this side. So what I think we'll do is add like a little addition for the window here. And then another one there, which will connect all the way up to the roof, I think would be cool. So we'll start with the wide window, like this. Then we'll have another one, I think. Because we basically want to make it tall enough that we can connect it to the roof. Does that work? Let's see if that would. Because we have to remember which parts we meet up with. So if we have the shallow ones like this. Then the next layer we probably want to connect it to, because we don't want to connect it all the way to the steep part, I think. So if we take out these, this would be where we meet up with that window, I think. Like that. And then we want to continue this a little bit, and then the same thing happens again. So that's another window addition. Just like that. I do not think the shallow roof in this is in the right place here. So we'll remove that. But that should work then. There we go. And then the shallow one should be here. In the middle as well, of course. So we kind of make the gaps where the windows will be. Like that. And I think we want... Yeah, the rounded tops. That would look quite cool. We've got a nice tall window, and I think this lines up perfectly like this. Yeah, I think that will be quite cool to have the windows go all the way up and connect to the roof. A little bit more unique than what we've got so far. So we'll fill in these sides just like that. These as well. And then here for the side of the build, I guess we need these gables. Upside down like that, and then we'll have all the little details, of course, at the end of the roof here as well. So we'll have the little eaves and rakes all around to get the final little details in. Can we? Nope, we cannot. We cannot do that. So I guess we'll need to use these ones, the smaller ones, because we can't overlap them like that, because the game does not like that at all. So we'll fill in the remaining parts. We'll fill back in this part. There we go. That blends together more nicely already. And we'll have, of course, these ones at the end as well for the little overhang. That's too big. So we'll just have these smaller ones at the end. There we go. I think that works quite well. And makes for a nice way to break up these walls as well as the roof. A little bit different. I guess we'll fill in the sides for this as well. Just like that. Same thing on the other side. Same thing for the other window, of course. And then we'll just have some quarter walls above it, I think. So we'll just continue with these. I think that should work. There's still a little gap. But I guess we could just have another one on there. It's probably the best way to do it. It's not really a block that goes in there anyway, so might as well go for this one. There we go. Then I think we do want to have some pillars on the corners here. And of course a beam around the bottom. And that looks quite good. Then I guess the next thing is adding in some of these little supports for these parts specifically. Adding those in randomly and having the weathered effect, of course. There we go. That looks quite nice. I think we're definitely getting there. Then, of course, we also want the top layer here for the roof, which is going to be the steep layer. And there we go. Yeah, I like this. I like this side. I guess that can stay. We'll have to add that anyway. So, yeah, we're getting there. It's definitely going to get interesting. I like the medieval style specifically for the fact that you can do... You don't have to repeat the same things on different sides of the building. You'd probably actually prefer not being symmetrical too much for medieval building. So add the little ledge around, just like that. Already looks quite nice on this side, I'm gonna say. And I guess we also need to start filling in all of these walls. So, I guess we do not need any windows here, that's for sure. So we'll probably just fill in these patterns like this. I guess we could do these. Yeah, why not? Because then we could have those in the middle as well. Again, I don't really think we need... We probably don't need a window, so we kind of just need to figure out what variant do we want. Or is it already busy enough? Probably just the empty one is best. There we go. And then on top here, I guess we just want to... No, that's too tall. What am I missing here? Oh, am I missing the... yeah, I'm missing the ceilings. The ceilings should be in between these layers to get that to work. There we go. Just like this. And then we can use the quarter walls to fill in these last pieces, and then it should all be done. And then across the top, of course, we can add in this pillar, going from one side to the other, because we want to keep those details the same, just like that. And we'll have to have a little one right there. Then we can add the little, yeah, the little detail at the end, little swirl on the top. Same thing right there, right here. There we go. We're slowly getting there. We have like 3 more walls, I think, to do. 1 at the bottom, 2 at the top. So we'll start with this one right here. There we go. We'll have them right in the middle. And we'll have some windows. Which one, though? It's always the question, but I think, yeah, the narrow one is probably the best. Yeah, we'll just do these. That feels alright. And then we can have a layer of the quarter walls above it, of course, creating some of the patterns, just like this. That looks quite nice. And then we have one more side. We'll bring in the settler ones. Actually, we need to watch the lines so that they make sense. So we want to start with these. There we go. Nope. There we go. And then we'll bring them down. And then we'll have these middle sections. Nope. That, like this. Yes, perfect. There we go. That looks good. And then I guess we can add these walls here as well. But what else? First, let's actually add in the chimney, the fireplace, because then we know where to have a window and where not. Because I think we definitely want a fireplace, especially if it's an open workplace. You know, you want to make it a little bit warmer if it's colder weather. So yeah, that's where we'll have the chimney. So we need to keep that in mind with where we want the windows and stuff like that. Well, I think we should be able to get away with it. And then we'll add these little quarter walls above. Same there, same here. And then I kind of do want to have a window there, so probably should mirror those from the other side, even though we don't like you know, symmetry. I think it's fine because there's going to be windows, but it's definitely not going to be the same windows. So we don't want to connect these all the way to the top, but just have some regular windows. Maybe we can do still the rounded shape. Yeah, why not? I like those. Those are nice. I feel like that fits. And then we can have the little roofs above them. We can fill in the quarter walls above them. There we go. That should work. And yeah, that looks quite nice. Right? That works. This one can actually go, because we don't need that here yet. We need to go further. And we can add in the little ledge around here with some quarter ceilings. All the way until the end right there. Basically, this whole section needed to be slightly longer. So we'll have... That's the ceiling, or the ceiling we want. Means that we have to extend the roof here just ever so slightly. We just needed to go a little bit further. And then, of course, we can take that along with the entire roof. Bring that up. There we go. And then, yeah, we should be able to just have the full pillar there instead. And we'll have the little details, of course. And then we can have the eaves and rakes. And then we should be all good to go again. We should have figured out this roof now. And then this one at the end still. There we go. We still need to do the wall at the bottom, of course. We kind of left that open for the last. But that's fine. That's fine. Because I need to kind of figure out what I do with the surroundings too. But first, let's finish this wall and the roof. Which shouldn't be too difficult. We're going to kind of just do the same thing as the other side. So I'll add this layer of the settler wood first. There we go. Then we'll have the windows and the roof just all nicely follow the same pattern as we did on the other side. So nothing too crazy, but yeah, that should work. So we have these ones on there. Perfect. That looks quite nice, especially from these angles. And then we can fill in the rest of the roof here. I don't think we'll do anything too crazy on this side, because we already have some things going on the other side. So I feel like this is totally fine. We'll add this layer across too. There we go. And then we'll have a layer of these shallow ones in there. We have a roof. There we go. We just need the little additions. So we'll start along this edge. All the way. There we go. That looks great. And then I guess we'll need the things at the end. Here. If it will let me. There we go. And just going all the way across. Awesome. And then we'll have some nice supports, I think. Yeah, some nice supports from the side. Of course, we want to add these in for this later as well. Just because that's always a nice little detail. I love these arches. If you didn't know yet, if you couldn't figure it out yet, I really like those. So we'll go around with them. Add them in where we can. It's always a nice little addition. And then we're getting there. We're definitely getting there. Just need to figure out the bottom of the build on one side, but that's totally fine. This looks good. Yeah, that's already starting to look quite good. And then here on this side, we want to have a little addition. Well, we actually want a decent addition. I think maybe 4 of these ceilings should be big enough to fill up this wall. We'll have some of the arches underneath as supports. Just like that. And basically we're going to build another little wooden box, but it's slightly bigger. We might have some windows to enjoy the view as well, but it's definitely on this side. You want to enjoy the river view, right? Maybe at some point actually also the view on the other side of the river, depending on how far we get with this project. But yeah, this should work. Should have a pillar going up. Just like that. Yeah, that will take up enough of the space to make this side a lot more interesting. So we'll have a little window here. Then we can go for a full wall next to it, I think. That would be a nice change. Slightly more interesting. And then the sides, of course, we'll have all walls in. Just like that. There we go. That's quite good, I think. And then we'll have our gables on top of them. Just like this. And we'll add in the rest of the details. So we want to have the roof in there. Just like this. We want to have all the little details to the side, etc, etc. And of course the little overhang as well. Which we could use these. Is that too much? I feel like that's too abrupt a turn. Kind of only want to go down one step if we do something like this. Because it's a little bit more subtle. And yeah, that works a lot better. So I think that is a nice good addition for this wall. That means we can add in some of the support beams, of course, and pillars. But more importantly, I think that means we can start filling in the rest of the wall. We shouldn't be too complicated now anymore because we've already added the biggest addition here, I think. So we'll add in these beams across, and then this section should... Oh, actually, yeah, we could have some of these supporting arches. Could we do that here too? Will it let me? It might not let me. It's a little bit finicky with snapping sometimes, but that's fine. We'll pick this up. We'll not worry about it too much, and we'll focus on the rest of this wall because we're almost there. Just a few more details to add. So I think this side is going to be quite simple, just filling in that wall as we're used to, just like that. And then for this side, I think it's going to be... I mean, we probably want to have a window here as well. I feel like that makes sense, again, because you want to see the view of the river and potentially the other side of the village/town. Feel like that's a good call to make. So we'll have some of these. We probably want to have the first layer be this. And the top ones we can fill in as well, of course. And then all we need is a little window in there. That makes sense. I think we'll just do, yeah, this one that we had on the other side. I think that actually works quite well and makes for quite a nice little cozy building. Of course, there's a few small touches still that we need to add, but yeah, I'm quite happy with the way this looks. This looks quite nice. Here on the inside, of course, we need to make sure that the chimney goes up high enough so that we can see it from the outside, because I mean that's kind of the goal of them. And then we can have a nice little smoke plume at some point, hopefully, at least. But yeah, that looks nice. It's definitely starting to go on the street now, for me at least. And we'll add in some of the railings along the sides too, because yeah, we like safety. We don't want to fall down. But yeah, we'll do that across the whole front. And I think with that, that's pretty much it. Then it's time to decorate, but I'll leave you to it. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this build. I think it's quite nice. So that's it for this blacksmith using the Castle Keeps and Forts mod. If you want to see more builds like this, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course, feel free to leave suggestions for any future builds down in the comments below. For now, goodbye.